And out front now, longtime tech stocks analyst Dan Ives, as I promised, Peter Tuchman, one of the most recognizable traders on Wall Street. And you're seeing his reaction today as the markets moved. I think that's a fair encapsulation of the moment. And noted economic analyst Jim Bianco is also here with me. So, Dan, you call all of this an epic debacle, which is far from over.
Welcome to the twilight zone. I think if you actually think about how this is playing out is, look, China continues to be front and center because the reality is when it comes to Apple, tech, food chain, most consumers, electronics, that's
Amazon.com.
I mean, that's coming to the shores. That's coming to the U.S. consumer. But ultimately, there's one thing, and there's one, ultimately financial instrument you can't bully. It's the bond market, as Jim knows well. And once that 10-year, 4.4, 4.5, it became really shown this is a dark cloud that Trump couldn't talk his way out of. Need to back off the cliff. Definitely huge good news. What I say good news today. But to China, that's really going to be the issue front and center in terms of where this plays out.
We showed your reaction today, and here we are.
You know, I mean, it was an odd day. You know, I mean, let's look back for a couple of days. We did see it, what I'm calling a little bit of a test run, when they released that news 2 days ago about what Bill Ackman had said, that what is it going to take for people to start buying stocks again? We talked about it.
Right, would there be a 90-day pause? White House called it fake news, but you had a temporary rally.
But you saw the market react, and that was the test, the test run for what happened today. Can you imagine if he had actually done that and the market did not react that way? So he needed to know that if he in fact did that the market would react the way it did. And it was with the ban. I mean, you know, the rally, that was trillions of dollars, right? Yep. We saw that. There was the initial little note that Bessent had changed his decision to go meet with some Congress people and was called to the White House. The next thing you see is Trump on Truth Social announcing the 90-day pause in the exact same words that had happened 2 days ago. And the market's reaction was incredible. I mean, you're talking, 500 points in the S&P, never seen before. 2,000 points up. We closed up on the Dow. I mean, the amount of money that came into that market, it was a number of things. It was probably a major short cover. It was a lot of real buying allocation of dollars into the marketplace.
So, but an incredibly unprecedented moment, Jim, that you say all of this, that is still unfolding, right? Still unfolding. But as you're watching that terrifying moment with what we saw in the bond market, it was terrifying. It was sort of at the precipice of, oh my, I don't know. You said it was a tell your grandchildren I was there moment. And I just want to play for you what Trump said today about the bond market.
The bond market is very tricky. I was watching it, but if you look at it now, it's beautiful. The bond market right now is beautiful. But yeah, I saw last night where people were getting a little queasy.
Queasy, Jim?
Yeah, I mean, it was that. We got to remember now, the foundation of our financial system is the cost of money. It's interest rates. I mean, some people think it's a boring investment, but it is a critically important thing. And when we saw that mass liquidation that was going on last night, everybody was selling everything they had. That meant the price of bonds were going down and interest rates were going up. If that had held for anything more than a few hours, we would have seen much higher mortgage rates, much higher borrowing costs for companies. It would have really had a negative impact on the economy in ways that we couldn't fathom. But fortunately, we come into today and the bond market backed off a little bit, and then we got the reversal of the policy. But it was still, one of the craziest days I've ever seen. I don't want to say the craziest day because we had COVID 5 years ago, but it's definitely up there with COVID as far as what we saw.
And just the unprecedented nature, Dan, of where we are, all right? And we emphasize, okay, this happened today. It came from my heart this morning. Who knows? 10% tariffs are still out there, 125% on China. 125% on China. It's Tesla with its business there, Apple with, 100-plus factories. You're talking to all these CEOs. Are we still in the great unknown? I mean, this China-U.S. situation is kind of undescribable in history.
We've taught it's a tariff Armageddon for U.S. tech, and that doesn't change. And Jim hit on it in terms of does this even push into more darker times, potential recession. But fundamentally, for Silicon Valley, for Apple, for others, This today, you ship an iPhone in, you're paying that price. Consumers are paying that price. So the reality is that this is a game of high stakes.
And just to be clear, 125% means something that cost $1,000 would cost $2,225, right? So in math, I mean,
exactly.
just, you know.
Dan had said an iPhone would probably be selling at about $3,500.
If you make them in the U.S., $3,500. So we should make them in New Jersey. If you like $3,500 iPhones, if you like them in China, $1,000.
Take a bunch of years to build a plant, and then pay $3,000.
And that's why the reality is for tech companies, they can't call Smith Semi-Fab Company in the Midwest because they don't exist.
And, you know, Jim, I just want to put, I got my board out today, and I got my board out because, you know, before all this happened, I wanted to make a point, and I know Jim and I talked through this earlier. Okay, Jim, you call it the conveyor belt. I call it the boomerang, and I think this is just so crucial for people to understand what's at stake now, like where we are tonight. Okay, so if I have a guy named Joe D., he wants to buy an umbrella. He's got a big meeting. He wants to buy a big golf umbrella. He's a big guy. He buys his umbrella on Amazon. Goes to Amazon. He pays, I just looked it up, $21.98. Okay, so he gets his umbrella. Comes in a couple days. I mean, it's a big golf umbrella. Here is Joe. He is happy.
It's a nice umbrella.
It's a good umbrella. I mean, it's one of those big ones you can't blow away on the streets of New York. But then what does China do with the $21.98? I mean, it's dollars, it's not one. So that they do, right, Jim? They send it back. They send it back and they buy U.S. treasuries. And in fact, you were saying to me, if you take China and you add in Luxembourg and Belgium, other countries where China's been doing apparently a lot of buying through, the number one buyer outside the U.S. in the world of those treasuries is China. That's where we are, right? I mean, we can kill them. They can kill us.
Yes, they can. Although, you know, it is kind of a mutually assured destruction type of thing. They don't hold a card over us that they could pull that would not affect them. And that whole conveyor belt works. So today, Amazon made an announcement that they're going to buy less inventory from China because of the tariffs. Okay, that's less money we send to China. That's less money that comes back and buys our bond market. So if that continues to over time because of these tariffs, that whole conveyor belt is going to start slowing down. We're going to get less stuff from them. We're going to send less money to them. They're going to have less money to recycle back into the bond market. The hope of the administration is, well, we'd have less bonds to sell because we'd bring down the deficit, but that's not coming down this year. But the tariffs are here right now.
Right, and I will say, very quick final word to you, Dan. Another idea Jim was talking about earlier was, I mean, not saying this would happen today, but things could change. You know, Amazon could say, hey, we'll let you pay here's the tariff price, here's the price in yuan. That's going to be a lot less. I mean, things could start to shift in terms of just the power of the dollar.
It's coming in the coming days, weeks, to the U.S. consumer.
Yep.
Right. This is not just a stock market. We're talking about what's coming to the U.S. consumer.
You know what? Look, we saw today that apparently Apple had commissioned 4 major planes stuffed with billions of dollars of iPhones to be flown into the United States to arrive before the tariffs take effect. Can you imagine when the biggest company in the world actually, the effect it's going to have, as we talked about, on them with this going through to the point where they felt it was worthwhile to actually commission
charter extra planes
packed with iPhones to arrive here to save a few $1 billion. That should be like a flashing red light going, you know what, we don't even know how the ramifications of what this is going to have on Apple and all the other companies.
Welcome to the Twilight Zone.
And so we begin
Rod
and end there.
Serling.
And we begin.
Jim Tuchman and Ives, you of course have your YouTube show. Thanks so much to all.